Okay, we are recording. So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for taking time out tonight to come and join me on this training. Tonight we're going to look at the 5 steps towards mindset mastery and why it's a fuel behind your success. So I'm going to be sharing with you 5 key points around really mastering your mindset, or key elements to help you master your mindset, so that when you're going after whatever it is in life, whether it's business goals, whether it's relationship goals, whether it's financial goals, whether it's health and fitness goals, no matter what it is, those elements are actually the same. The core elements are exactly the same. And so I want to look at those tonight, and I want to explore them with you, and I want to take you through a bit of a workshop. So as I said, what I would love you to do is type in comments and type in questions in the chat box as we go. And I'm going to try and answer any questions that you do have. And I'm going to kind of take you through it. We're going to be going for about an hour. And if possible, I'd love you to stay till the end, because I've got something exciting that I want to share with you then. So I think most of you who are live here on the call with me right now know who I am. But for anyone watching the replay of this who don't know, my name's Claire Macpherson. I'm a mindset coach. And I believe that mindset is the absolute core of all our success. And the reason that I'm so passionate about mindset is because of my own personal journey with this. So I started as a coach about 10 years ago after I'd moved to New Zealand. I'd got my 2 boys then, who were at the time 2 and 3. Life was a bit crazy. I'd left behind a brand new business that I'd set up in the UK, and I'd arrived in New Zealand kind of going, wow, okay, what next? And that's when I discovered coaching and started my coaching journey. And while I was in New Zealand, that coaching journey seemed very easy and it seemed to flow. And one of the great things about New Zealand is everyone knows everyone. So when you're starting a business in New Zealand, word of mouth is amazing. And so I had a thriving, great business over in New Zealand. And then fast forward a few years, and we decided to make the move back to the UK. And when we made that move back to the UK, I suddenly had this sense of overwhelm. I got stuck in my business. I didn't know how to start building a business in England. And very quickly, I got really kind of just in my own head about it. And what I find is that lots of people go through this when they're building a business. Lots of people have those periods, and often it's not just once, it can happen again and again as they grow and they get to the next level, where they start feeling really stuck and they start feeling overwhelmed and they start questioning what they should do. And basically they lose a bit of that momentum and can lose a bit of the belief in themselves and the business that they're building. I mean, you just said, I've gone quiet. Can everyone else hear me? Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay. Everyone else can hear me okay. All right, cool. And so for quite a while, when I first started building my coaching business in England, I went out and I spent lots and lots of money thinking that I needed to learn something more. And I got stuck in this cycle of, I'll be successful when, I'll be able to earn more money in my business when. And that when was things like when I have more time, when I know more, when I've learned this new strategy or that new technique, when I've got a beautiful website, and there was always the next when. And then one day I literally had that moment of clarity where I was like, what on earth am I doing? Like, actually the only thing that I am missing here is my own self-belief and getting my own head in the right space. And obviously the crazy thing about that is that my coaching has always been helping other people get their head in the right place. And so I had to take some time out to really refocus myself, to really work on my own mindset. And it was during that period that I actually got super passionate about mindset and realized that it's at the core of everything that we do. Literally every single thing, whether we achieve it or we don't achieve it, whether we feel good about it or bad about it, whether we succeed or tell ourselves that we're failing, it all comes down to our mindset. Whether we're questioning what our next step should be, whether we feel like we have the time to do what we want to do, whether we feel like we have the resources to do what we want to do, whether we're making the money that we want in our business, all of it is mindset. And so mindset for me is huge. And as I've coached people through this and worked really deeply on people's mindset, it's been shown to me again and again and again actually how this is the key, and this is the one element that you need to have in the right place and you need to be working on because it's what's going to give you the momentum as you grow your business, or as you go out and create new relationships, or as you work on your health and well-being, or whatever it might be for you in terms of your specific goals. And so what I want to do tonight specifically is talk about 5 key things that I think can make a huge impact around your mindset that you need to be focusing on and doing right now. Because the other thing about mindset is that lots of mindset is common sense, and you know it's common sense, right? And people might say, well, I already know that. But the question is, it's not about what you already know, it's about what you're actually doing. So my question to everyone tonight while you're listening to this call is, not so much about what do you know, because I think lots of you might already know some of these elements, but the question is, how much of it are you actually doing? And not just every so often, but consistently, because consistency is key when it comes to mindset, when it comes to just about anything, right? So the first question I want to throw at you, really, and I'd love you to all actually answer this in the comments bar, is, when I say mindset, you think what? So when you think about mindset, what actually comes to mind for you, and what does mindset mean for you? So I'd really like you just to very briefly pop in the comments what it means for you, whether it just sounds like a load of gobbledygook, or whether you have very clear, specific thoughts about what it means. So can you just all pop that in, and I'm going to read some of those out as you go. I'll give you 2 seconds to do that while I just scroll through people. Awesome. Those people who have just joined us, hi and welcome. Make sure you've got a pen and paper so you can be doing this. Okay, so I've got comments like, oops, it's moving as I'm trying to read it. Your personal driving force, love that. Or your own personal enemy, absolutely, that is so spot on. How it controls negative thoughts, yeah, absolutely. My mindset is confusion. Yeah, so many people feel that, right? It's so normal. Beliefs, attitude, yes. Focus, determination, inspiration, yes, absolutely. I think one of the reasons why I ask people what they think about mindset is that sometimes there can be a real misunderstanding about what mindset is. And when people talk about mindset, some people can think, oh, they're just talking about being positive. And I think positivity and mindset have been almost lumped together in one thing. And I think that it's really important to actually separate out the two, because yes, positivity is important, but what I don't want anyone do is pretend to themselves that everything's all right. And I think this is key, and I just want to mention this first before I dive into those 5 steps. Because when we have something going on inside of us internally, when we have feelings, our emotions are there for a reason. They're there to guide us. And if we just ignore them, if we just push them away, pretend they're not happening, think, no, I'm going to be positive, I'm going to be positive, I'm going to be positive, it's like just painting over a big crack in the wall. And it's not going to stay painted over for long. Very quickly, that crack will tear the paint apart again, and it'll become a problem again. And so what I want to be really clear on is, working on your mindset is absolutely not just about positivity. Working on your mindset is about actually looking at what's going on, not being afraid to dive deep and really explore, well, what's really going on for me? And then it's about realizing that it's always choice. No matter what, we always have choice around something. And so we can be at cause rather than be an effect. And when I say that, what I mean is, when we're at cause, we have choices, we have options. And sometimes we might not even like all the options that we have, but it's empowering to remember that we have options. Whereas when we're in effect, that's when we go into that victim mode, that victim mentality, which we can all fall in sometimes, right? Me included. In fact, tonight was a perfect example, because my little girl had an accident at school today, and a big bookcase has fallen on her ankle, and I had a bit of a moment of like, oh, why me? Why is it always her? Why is it like, I had a moment where I went into that victim mode, and I was like, oh, why does this happen to me? But I think it's really important, because when we feel that way, we feel like we're not in charge. We feel like we have no control, and so that actually takes away our personal power. So it's really, really important to always remember that actually we always have choice. We can always be empowered about our actions and what we want to do. And we want to stay away from falling into that victim mentality. So see it as it is, but not worse than it is. Look at it, dive into it, play with it, see what's really going on for you, knowing that then you can shift it and you don't have to stay in that emotion for a long time. Okay, so having said that, let's jump into step one. And for any of you who are just joining me, welcome. It's awesome to have you here. We're going for about an hour. I am recording. The chat bar is open, so feel free to type in any questions you have around anything that I'm saying. If anything is confusing or you've got questions around, there is no such thing as a stupid question. And if you're thinking it, somebody else probably is too. So feel free to actually pop that in there and I'll try and get to it and try and answer it. Okay, so step number one, and you're all going to go, oh, I know this, right? But it's really key and it's really important. Step number one is set your goals, commit to your goals, and stop changing them. And let me tell you what I mean about that, right? Because I know that people are good at setting goals. Something will remind you to set goals. You'll go on a course, you'll listen to a training, you'll see something that will inspire you and you'll go, right, I'm going to go set my goals. Or most of you will. There might be a few of you who say, I'm going to set my goals. And then the next day you say, I'm going to set my goals. And then the next day you say, I'm going to set my goals. And you might still be telling yourself, you're going to set your goals and you haven't yet. And I know that people fall into that trap. But for those of you who do set your goals, who get one step further, what can happen, and I know because I've been there and done it myself, right? So I'm not pretending I'm perfect around this. I learned this because I've been on this journey myself. Is we can decide on a goal, and we go, right. So for example, this is just an example. I'm gonna take on 5 new clients this month, and I'm gonna charge X amount for each of those clients. So I'm gonna make this amount of money from it. Let's just say that as an example. And so you set that goal, you write it down, you're quite excited about it, or maybe you're not, maybe you forget about it, you write it on a bit of paper and you lose the paper and then you forget what your goal even was that you set for yourself, because I know that happens as well. Maybe life happens and you start giving yourself excuses like, oh, well, this week's been so busy, like this happened and that happened and I just haven't been able to work. I know what I'll do. I said 5 clients, but actually maybe we'll do 4 because I've had a busy week and I'm not quite on track. And so we start saying, okay, 4 clients by the end of the month. And another week goes by and you start going, oh, there's only 2 weeks left to the end of the month. And you go, okay, actually it's just 2. It's just 2 clients by the end of the month and then I'll be happy, right? Who does this? Like, give me a yes. And it might not be clients for you. It might be new signups. It might be, it might be new customers. It could be anything, but you know what I'm saying. Give me a yes if you've been there and you recognize this behavior. Absolutely right. And I've been there too. But the thing is, it doesn't help us, does it? Because all we actually do when we do this is we talk ourselves out of achieving the things that we really want to achieve. We actually tell ourselves that our dreams, our goals, our desires, we want them, we'll have them one day, but not quite just yet because we're not quite ready for them. Right? And when we do that regularly, it starts to break down our self-belief in ourselves, and we start telling ourselves, certainly subconsciously, if not consciously, that maybe I can't do this, maybe this isn't going to happen for me, maybe I need to change my career or change my direction or change my goals, maybe I shouldn't reach quite so high. Or we can talk ourselves out, you know what, maybe I don't even want that anyway, when actually deep down you know that you do, but you just don't want to feel like you're not achieving that thing that you want because it matters to you, right? And so goals are a really interesting thing because people tell us all the time you should be setting goals, like set goals, because if you don't know what your goal is, it's like driving around without a destination in mind. And we can have them just can you all just do me a favor and check you're muted, because I can hear a couple of noises going on, so if you could just do that for me, that'd be awesome. But goals are really interesting, right? Because we're told we need to set goals and we tell ourselves we need to set goals, but then what we don't do really very often is do a good job with our goals, and we can get caught up thinking that we should do it rather than we want to do it. And with everything, and this is a big part of my belief, right? If we're doing something because we think we should, it's not coming from the right place. It's because we want to, it's because we get to, it's because, wow, I can do this. I get to make these goals. I get to dream this dream. I get to actually want to move forward with these things in my life, versus, oh, I have to set these goals, or I should be setting these goals, or so-and-so says I won't be successful in whatever if I don't. And so the first thing I want you to do right now is I want you to write down what that goal is for you, without second guessing it, without questioning it. I want you to decide to actually commit to it right now. And even if you might have committed 1,000 times before and changed it, I want you to commit again, but this time say to yourself, I am not going to change it. Even if by the end of the month I haven't hit that goal, it's okay, but I'm not going to change what that goal is. So your goal might be for a month, or it might be 2 months, or it might be 3 months. I wouldn't really go too far beyond that, or you're starting to spread it out too far away. Goals work better when they're a bit more immediate. If you've got a big goal you're working towards, think about how you can chunk it down into sections and just make that first section your goal for now. So I want you to write it, and I want you to write it as it's done. I have done this, or I have achieved, or I have conquered, or whatever word comes for you. I want you to write it as if you've already done it. So I have. And what I'd love you to do again is, for those of you who are up for this, just share what your goal is written like that in the I have, and tell me what it is. Write it in the comments bar. Julie, I can see you've got your hand up. Could you just type your question or whatever you're saying in the comments bar for me, and then I can read it out or talk about it, or I'll come back to it in a little while. Okay, so I'll keep on talking, but definitely write in what those goals are in the bar so I can see where people are at. So with this goal that you've now got, the important thing is that you connect to it. Because when we create a goal but we don't connect to it, it just becomes this thing that we forget about really quickly. So the way that we connect with these goals, and I'm just going to zoom through this because it's quite obvious, but again, it's not about what you know, it's about what you do. So connect with that goal every single day. Be writing it down, be saying it out loud, have it written on the post-it notes and things, put it as reminders on your phone. What I personally do is I have a journaling exercise that I do every morning, and I write down my goals in that, and I don't write them down in exactly the same way every day. I do it differently because that helps me stay on track and it helps me stay focused. I also track my goal. So for example, if we were having the 5 clients, I would make sure that every time I got a new client, I was writing that down, I was tracking it, and I was doing a little mini celebration around it. So make sure that you're tracking it, because if you're not tracking it, you don't know if you're actually moving towards it. Let me just double check, because there was something else that I wanted to mention around goals. I've totally forgotten what it was. So set your goal, decide to leave the cycle behind that you might have been playing out around how you change your goal as you get closer to it. Commit to it, don't change it. Even if at the end of the month you get to the end of the month and you haven't achieved your goal, that's when you look back and you review what's happened. Okay, and that's really important. In fact, if I'm honest, that review of your goal is more valuable than setting the goal in the first place, because that's when you get to see what you're not doing, or what went wrong for you, or where it's fallen apart, so that next time you can create another goal that's going to work far better, because you're getting rid of some of the things that don't work. So for example, and I'm going to use my example of 5 new clients with you. So you set your goal of that month having 5 new clients. You've got to the end of the month and maybe you've got 2. And you might feel a bit disappointed in yourself, but actually it's far better to focus on the 2 that you have got, which is good. But then I want you to look back and say, okay, so what happened this month which has actually resulted in me not hitting this goal? What's been going on for me? And it might be things like, well, at the beginning of the month, I didn't give it my all because I thought, oh, I've got all this time ahead of me. And so I factored this and I went there and I did the other. Maybe there's some behavior around that going on. Maybe when you look back, you think, you know what, I didn't play all out because maybe I got into overwhelm around it. Maybe I had a bit of a wobble because I thought, who am I to do that? Maybe there's some beliefs going on there that have held you back. Maybe there's time management issues. Maybe you haven't spoken to enough people. Like, just have a look and decide for yourself. Take away a couple of points around what could you do next time to make that more achievable. What would you change if you were setting it again for yourself? Okay, because that's where the gold lies. Actually, in reviewing the activity that you have done, reviewing what you have been doing and changing it and playing with it. And think of it as an experiment, right? Because none of us do something perfectly the right time, the first time. We all put this huge pressure on ourselves to get things right, to achieve the goal, to get things right, to do it properly. We all have this like little perfectionist monkey that sits on our shoulder and tells us, you know, you need to do this, and if you don't, then oh, you're not good enough, and why have you messed up on this again, or whatever your own little monkey might say. But the truth is, life is an experiment. the whole point of life is that we grow and learn. And how boring would life be if we got it right the first time? Because if we just got things right the first time and nailed it the first time, we'd never have something to be working towards. And as human beings, we need something to be working towards. We need to feel like we're growing. We need to feel like there's these things in our future that are exciting and pulling us forward. And so actually, it's a really massively positive thing that we're not perfect and that we don't get it right the first time. And if you can embrace that and see it as actually, this is great, it's just part of the journey, it frees you up to play with it, to experiment with it, to go, well, this time I'll change this and I'll do that. And oh, I wonder what would happen if I did this instead. And being in that wonder and being in that playfulness, being in that energy itself can make a huge, huge impact on how successful you are to actually hitting those goals. Is this making sense? Give me a yes. I'm going to read out a couple of your comments, but just give me a yes if it's making sense. Or if you've got questions about what I've said so far, feel free to pop in any questions. So I won't read out names, I'll just read it. So to sponsor 6 people by the end of November. Awesome. So I like it. She's rewritten it. Okay. So at the end of December, I have 6 new clients. Perfect. Oops, that's someone emptying the bins outside because my window's open. Hang on. I think that's my children doing the recycling. So it's the end of the month and I've got my website and Facebook page up and running and shared my friends to promote. Fantastic. 5,000 month 31st of December. Perfect. I'm district manager on the 31st of October 2017 at, oh, there's even a time that's specific for you. I'm impressed with that. I've increased my team to 2 people each month and it's the 31st of December. Fantastic. I have a client who has commissioned a consultancy piece of work with me. Cold calling 5 clients by the end of September. Wow, this feels amazing. And I love the fact that you popped in there, wow, this feels amazing, because that feeling is really important. And that's probably the final thing I want to say about goals before I move on to step 2, because we can sometimes get lost in that we can't have or we can't feel something until we've achieved the goal. But we all know, and I know you'll have heard me say this before because it's a big thing for me, is we've got to enjoy the journey. We've got to celebrate the journey. We've got to have fun on the journey. We've got to be joyful on the journey, because that's what life's really about. Life is not ever actually about the destination. Life is about the journey every single day. Who we get to be, how we get to show up, the difference that we get to make in the world, the connection that we have with other people, the love that we feel, the love that we pass on to others. Like, that's really ultimately, and I'm sure every single one of you will agree with me, that's what life's about. So there is no point setting goals and telling ourselves I'll be happy when, or I'll treat myself when, or whatever it might be. Enjoy the journey, because it actually means you're going to be far more likely to achieve that goal. Okay, awesome. People are saying yes, fabulous. Okay, so that's step 1. And what I would really say is actually do this, practice it, make a commitment to yourself that you're going to follow up on what I've said and implement this and not change it. And do your review when you come to the end of that, when you come to the end of your goal, whenever it is, so that you can change anything you need to before you reset your new goals. Okay, step 2 is, when you think about that goal, that you've set for yourself, what comes up for you? Okay, what comes up for you? Because when we set a goal, we should have a little bit of fear, a bit of excitement, a bit of like, oh, like that would be amazing if I could do that. But there's a bit of me that feels like it's definitely a stretch, right? So there's that going on. But I wanted to notice actually and look a bit deeper. What's the deeper stuff that goes on for you? Okay. Oh, a few people have said a few people have said that I'm breaking up. Give me a thumbs up. Can you hear me again? Can you all hear me? Yes, I'm back. Awesome. Okay, great. So if you missed a moment or two of that, basically what I was saying was, I want you to look at what's going on for you when you think about achieving that goal. And so this is really about the beliefs and the stories that you're currently living by and starting to notice them. So let me give you an example. I'm going to go back to that 5 new clients example. So if that was your goal, 5 new clients, you say, yes, I'm excited by it. It would feel amazing to make that money, to know that my business was growing. that would feel amazing. It feels exciting. It feels a bit scary because I'm like, how on earth am I going to find those clients? That might be some of the words I'm saying, right? So then we might be saying things like, okay, so I don't even know actually where to start with this. And can I really bring in that many clients? And oh God, what if I bring in those clients, but then I do a terrible job coaching them and actually they all think I'm rubbish? Or, oh my God, what if I take them all on and I don't even have enough time to like do it all properly? Or like, what if they all ask for their money back? Or, right? Because whatever your goal was, you're going to have some beliefs and some stories going on beneath that goal deep down that could be holding you back. So I want you to notice and be really honest with yourself, because it's easy to just go, no, I'm all good. I'm good with this goal. I'm excited, a little bit scary, but I'm going for goals, right? It's really easy to do that, but I want you to be super honest, because it's in that honesty that you're going to be able to see those things that are holding you back for what they truly are. So I want you to take a moment and just notice, what are those things for you? What are the things that come up? What are the beliefs? What are the worries? What are the concerns? What are the anxieties? What are the things that you might think in your own head at 2 o'clock in the morning when you wake up that make you panic about that goal? And what I would love you to do is, as I talk about this, I want you to write some of those down. So if all of you share just one or two of those things, because I think what you'll find is that most people have the same worries, the same anxieties in common. So just write down in the feed here, what are some of those anxieties, some of those worries, some of those things that come up for you? Okay, so I've got things like, I won't be good enough. Absolutely. And so if you've got one going on that's like, I won't be good enough, specifically around what you won't be good enough about, what you won't be good enough to bring to start the goal, like what specific bits. So you don't need to answer that here, but make sure in your own journaling, in what you're writing yourself, like get really specific about it. So things like, am I capable? Am I worthy of achieving it? How will I achieve it? Absolutely. Fear, what if I do a rubbish job? Totally. How am I going to get there? What will they think of me? Yes, right. I'll be too brain dead to coach them. That's a funny one. I like it. Okay. Failure, time management, distractions, temptation. Can I actually do this? Right. Okay. So everyone's on the same page, right? So isn't that something in itself? Everybody has these self-doubts. Everybody has these things going on when they're thinking about moving forwards, up leveling, achieving something more. And that includes, by the way, the people at the top who've already achieved these goals. It includes the Richard Bransons of the world. It includes all those people who have taken massive action and have got something huge to show. They felt it too at some point. And I think it's really important to know that just because you've got these things going on, it's actually up to you whether you allow them to stop you or not. Okay. So I want you to take a look at these things that you're writing down that's coming up. And actually, how true is it? How true is it? When we say things like, well, what if I'm not good enough? Or what will people think? Or am I capable? Like, what's the truth of that? Is it just an old story that you're running that's actually got no truth in it? Because I bet, in fact, I already know that you will be capable, because otherwise you wouldn't even want to achieve it. I know that you will already do an amazing job, because otherwise it's something you wouldn't even want to do. And the thing is, we're never, as I said earlier, perfect at anything. It's about getting started. And it's only when we start doing it that we get to be better and better and better and better. And actually, if you didn't have, so I just want to reframe this for you for a moment, but if you didn't have these worries going on, maybe that would actually be a worry in itself, because you wouldn't be examining. You might be in that space that, like, if you were that kind of person who was just like, yeah, I'm awesome, I've got this, I'm mucking and rolling, actually that would make me worry a little bit, because then I'd be like, well, you've got a high opinion of yourself. Right? So let's be honest. It's actually okay to have all of those feelings and those beliefs and those stories. And the important thing is just notice them, say them out loud. You don't have to pretend they're not there. You can you can move forward and take action even with them there. Hold on a minute, take a quick sip of water. Whew, I'm hot now that I've shut the window. you can move forward despite these beliefs. You can move forward despite these stories. And I think it's by looking at them, it's a bit like, it's quite funny because someone said there was a spider in the room or something, but it's a bit like that spider. When I used to have this huge fear of spiders when I was younger, massive phobia of spiders. And if I saw a spider in my bedroom, I literally couldn't go to sleep, because in my head, I would imagine that spider like running all over my face in the middle of the night and panicking about it. And this picture of this spider that was probably like this big, bigger and bigger and hairier, and becomes this big, horrible, really scary thing, to the extent that I don't even want to be in the house. I want to go and sleep in the car for the night because I'm petrified of this spider. And the same things happen with these beliefs, right? When we try and pretend they're not there, or push them down or whatever, they get bigger and bigger and bigger in our heads, and we build them up and we build them up, and we actually give them power by trying to push them away. It's when we allow ourselves to look at them that we realize it's not that scary at all. It's like when you get your child out of bed to look under the bed, like there's no monsters here, we're all safe. It can take away a lot of that fear because you've looked, rather than just pretending it's not there. So never feel afraid to look at your fears. Never feel afraid to speak them out loud. Never be afraid to actually start to unpick them, because when we unpick them, we realize that actually there's not all that much truth in it. Let me read out a couple of more things that people are saying. So one of you is saying, I'm so with your old story. Okay. You should see the size of the spider. I like it. Okay. So I just want you to notice those, and I want you just to decide now that what's more important. Are these beliefs and old stories, which aren't true, because that's the whole thing about beliefs, right? Beliefs aren't truth. Beliefs are just something that we've taken and we've made true for us, but they're not absolute truths. They're just how we're seeing something. And we get our mindset, and this is why mindset is so huge, right? Because it's our mindset that absolutely creates the world that we see. Our world is different. We all see the world so differently because we see it through the lens of our beliefs. And if we change our beliefs, if we start looking at our beliefs and slowly changing them, we can literally change our whole reality. And the more that I immerse myself in this, and the more that I learn about it, the more I'm blown away constantly by the extent of our beliefs and how it totally molds our world as we see it. And so I want you to realize that these beliefs are actually huge, and that they're not something to be ignored. They're not something to work on once or twice, but they're actually worth really creating routines around. And I'm going to speak about a couple of those bits later. But beliefs need to be worked on and changed. Just like if you want to be fit and healthy, you need to exercise, and you don't just do it once. You need to do it consistently to keep up those results. As you keep getting fitter, you keep needing to up it. Same with mindset, and same with beliefs. Okay, how are you all going? Is everyone good? All right, awesome. So let's move on to the next step, which is calling BS on those stories, okay? Because we don't need to take it all quite as seriously as we do. When we think about our stories, we can actually almost laugh at them. So I want you to think about a story that you're playing out at the moment, what your biggest story might be. And what I mean by that, if any of you are listening and thinking, what story is Claire talking about? What I'm talking about is the story that you're running in your head that's holding you back from achieving those goals, from dreaming big, from taking massive action, from getting out of your comfort zone and really achieving those things that you want to be achieving in life. What is the story that you run? Is your story a story about time? Maybe you just never have enough time because you're so busy. Is your story that you don't know enough, that you need to learn more? Is your story that you're not old enough? Or is your story that you're not young enough, right? Because quite often we fall into one or the other. Is your story that you just need that one extra thing, and that one extra thing keeps changing? Is your story that you don't have the confidence? Because that's a brilliant story for holding us back. I'm just not confident yet. I'm going to work on my confidence, and then I'm going to go take that action. Is it that you worry so much about what others think of you that totally holds you back? Because that in itself, right, see it as a story. So instead of seeing it as part of yourself and something that's true, I want you to almost pull it out of yourself, like almost imagine in your mind's eye pulling that story out of yourself and seeing it as a story, seeing it as something separate to you. You can even, in your mind's eye, just close your eyes for a second, imagine it as this book that you pull out of yourself and you turn into this book, and it's full of all these pages of this story that holds you back, whatever that story is for you. And I want you to notice actually how it can feel like a relief once this book is outside of yourself and not inside of you and part of you anymore. So just take a moment for a second to really notice that shift, that internal shift. When you notice that story, you pull that story out of yourself, you take it outside of your body and you turn it into this book. This book that just can be put on a shelf because it's just another story. And you get to choose whether you pull this book out and you relive this story every day, or whether you just leave this book parked on the shelf so it can get dusty and old and eventually fall apart. Because maybe it's time to rewrite your story. Maybe it's time to actually create a new story, a new book that excites you, that makes you feel passionate, that makes you feel alive, that makes you feel so excited. The story that you have total control over. A story where you get to tell yourself every single day that you are absolutely amazing. A story where you get to tell yourself that actually you make time for the things that are important for you. A story where you tell yourself that you're already more than enough. A story where you tell yourself that life is unfolding exactly as it should be and the universe has your back. Like, think about, and I'd like you to actually write this in, what would the title of your new story be? If you were rewriting your story, if you were creating a new story that's really going to give you momentum into the future towards your dreams and goals, what would you title that story? Okay, give me a title now. Don't worry about it. It's not going to be perfect. Just play with this. Have fun with this. What would your title be? I can do this. I love it. So I can do this. What else? Some other people tell me. What would your story say? What would it be? What would be the title? This is my life. I like it. This is my life. This is my life. This is my life. Living an I like that. People magnet. Oh, people magnet. That's a good one. I've got this. Oh, I like that. I've got this. So glad I never gave up. Oh, I like that. Rebecca, I love it. Best border collie dog trainer in the country. Yes. She did it. Love it. I'm living my life for me. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Love these titles. How exciting are these titles, right? You would want to pick this book up every single day, right? And so I want you to take this past now, because obviously we've only got an hour and time's ticking past super quickly. But I want you to think more about this. Confident businesswoman. I love it. Oh, she turned up. I won't read names out, but she turned up. She changed her cover. I love it. So check out the new me. I like it. All of these are fantastic, by the way. I love them. I want you to spend some time, and we're not going to do it right now because otherwise we'll run out past the hour and people will be here till midnight with me. But I want you to actually take some time, either tonight or first thing in the morning, to actually work on your new story. So you've got your title already. Okay, the next thing you could do is, on the back of the story, I've forgotten what it's called, but you could write your little description of what this story is about. Like, this is a story of, and write something that excites you and empowers you, something that you want it to be. And I want you to put it up somewhere and remind yourself that actually this is your life. It is a blank canvas. You get to write the story. You are the author of your life. And you do not need to be the person who's picking up these old books that actually aren't even you, because the thing about our beliefs and our old stories is they don't even normally come from us. They're picked up at school, they're picked up from family, they're picked up from like life before we're even 7 years old. And oh my gosh, when you think about that, we're letting these thoughts that came from other people be the story that we're living in and influence the future that we're creating. And none of us want to do that, right? None of us want to be in that space. Every single one of you is here because you have big dreams, you have big goals, you want something more in life. And so it's time to shut that book, it's time to put it on the shelf, and it's time to start writing your new story. And you could you could actually really start this, right? You could really start creating this new story, and you could work on it every single day. And how empowering would that be? And how would that change your state of mind? And when you were struggling, or when you were having one of those down days, or when you were having one of those moments that we all have, right? We all have moments of self-doubt. We all have days when it's all going wrong. We all have days where we go, oh, I'm just going to give up because this is too hard. On those days, you can get out your new story and you can read it, like literally. How cool would that be? So that's something that I'd love you to work on more after this, and feel free to pop in any questions. Awesome, fantastic. Let me move on to the next step because time is whizzing by. So totally lost track of what step I'm on, but the next step is, what is the success strategy that you are currently running? And it might be a success strategy, or it might not be a success strategy as it stands now. So here's the thing about human behavior. We all have strategies for everything that we do. We have a strategy for everything because it's how the human brain works, right? There's too much information in the world for us to take it all in all the time, and for our brains to process and consciously think about. And so what we do on a subconscious level is our brain creates strategies around everything that we do. So you have a strategy for how you brush your teeth. You have a strategy for how you wake up. You have a strategy for how you make a cup of tea. You have a strategy for how you exercise or don't. You have a strategy for how you make meals. You have a strategy for how you shop. You have a strategy for everything that you do. You're not really aware of that strategy, but you do. And in the same way, you have a strategy in terms of how you're going about achieving your goal. So whether your goal is a business goal and it's about making X amount of money, or bringing in new clients, or signing up new consultants, or whether it's a fitness goal and it's about getting healthy and fit and losing weight, or whether it's a relationship goal and it's about working on a relationship or finding a new relationship, or whatever it might be, right? You're currently running a strategy or a number of strategies about how you're going about achieving that. And so I want you to pause and really think about this for a moment. And as I'm speaking about this, I want you to be thinking about what your strategy is. So I want you to think of it as almost like blocks, right? It's step one, we do step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6. For example, when we're brushing our teeth, this is super simplifying it, right? But the strategy is, you've perhaps already done something else, you've finished something else. So maybe you just finished your breakfast, and that's a trigger for you to go, right, I now go upstairs and I brush your teeth. You walk into the bathroom, maybe every single time you turn on the lights, part of the strategy. You pick up your toothbrush, you pick up your toothpaste, you open your toothpaste, you put a certain amount of toothpaste on that toothbrush, and everyone puts a different amount. Some people like lots of toothpaste, some people just do a bit. Some people floss their teeth before they start, some people mouthwash first, some people mouthwash afterwards. Some people like the motion of how you brush your teeth. Everyone's got their own motion, right? How often you spit out is part of that strategy. How often you put the brush underneath the water tap, whether you leave the water tap running all the time or whether you turn it on and off, it's all part of the strategy that you run for how you brush your teeth. So there's lots of different elements and lots of different steps in that strategy. I can see some of you laughing because, yeah, it's crazy, right? And if we didn't have those strategies, can you imagine how complicated life would be? We'd have to think about every single little tiny thing that we did, how we get the glass out the cupboard, how we choose which glass, how we, like, oh, life would be chaotic. We would never actually do anything. So I want to think about the strategy that you're currently running for your goal. So maybe the strategy is you set yourself a goal of 5 clients. Okay, maybe you write it down. Maybe you think, what do I do next? Maybe you think, well, I'll do a live training. I'll invite people onto the live training. Maybe that's part of your strategy. Maybe part of your strategy is that you do Facebook Lives and you do lots of them. Maybe you start posting more. Maybe you start having conversations with more people. Maybe you start going to networking groups more. There's going to be strategy around it, but there's also mindset strategy around it. So in terms of how do you decide, like, what days do you take that action, and what time of the day do you take action, and how do you split up the activities, and how do you plan it, and do you have a to-do list, or do you have time blocking? How do you decide how long you're going to spend on something? How do you prioritize? How do you decide what's more important and what you're going to do first? Can you see there's all these questions that go into how you're working towards attaining your goal? And it's worth us stopping and pausing and looking at the strategy that we're currently running. And some of you might be like, oh gosh, I'm not even sure. So if you're not sure, don't worry about this. If you're not sure about what strategy you're running, I want you just to start having some awareness around it. So start noticing what are the things that I'm doing. And if I was fine-tuning this strategy, what could I change? Okay, so let me give you a little bit of an example. I'm really good at when I take the kids to school, I do my mindset routine, and people will laugh, but it's okay. I do my mindset routine in the car on the journey, and I drive via Starbucks because I also pick up a tall, skinny caramel macchiato on my way to start my morning, right? So I listen to my mindset stuff in the car, I get my Starbucks coffee, I get home, I get out my journal, I do some journaling for 10 minutes, I then do 5 or 10 minutes of meditation, depending on what I want to do with, and then I'm ready for the day, okay? Now, when I'm running a really good strategy, I then dive straight into work or straight into clients. When I'm not, I'll start going on Facebook. I'll go on Facebook, I'll look at this message, and then I'll hop over to my mailing list and I'll check that, and I'll start pinging around the place without really being fully present or thinking about actually what am I trying to achieve here, right? So that's my strategy if I'm not being too aware of it and not really thinking about it. And you know as well as I do, right? That's not going to get anywhere fast. That's very good at time wasting. It means I'm not focused. It means I'm not going to get the results that I want. And I'll get to the end of the month and I won't have achieved my goal running those strategies. Whereas if I time block my day, which works really well for me, and I go, okay, so this is my client time, I'll do 3 calls with clients. Okay, now I'm working on my list. So I'm going to create a lead magnet that I'm going to put out there for these people, and I do that. And then maybe, okay, I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes replying to messages before I go and collect my children. That's far more organized, and I'm going to be far more proficient during the day, and it means I'm also far more likely to hit my results at the end of the month. Not only that, but I'm going to feel much better about myself at the end of the day, right? I'm going to go to bed that night going, oh yeah, I nailed it today. Maybe I might be the only one who does that, but do any of you just say yes if you do any of you go to bed at night when you've had a really good day, have that like feeling of like, yes, nailed it, I did really good today? Or do you not notice? Yeah, okay. Because it feels so good, doesn't it? When we've had a really good day, we've taken loads of action and we've achieved goals, we go to bed and we're like, yes, that feels so good. And isn't it nice? Isn't that feeling nice? And don't we want to do that every single day? And how much more likely we're going to achieve our goals if we're doing that every day? So I want you to think, and I hope that now you started writing down a bit of that strategy that you run, and just you could make the easy little changes that you could make that actually combined when they have that, I've forgotten the word, when they have that someone put in the word, what do I mean, when they have that building upon each other effect, someone put in the word, I've totally forgotten the word, when they have that effect and they build upon each other, it has massive cohesive, no, that's not what I meant, I'm like, there's a picture. Energy. Yeah,
energy.
Yeah, thank you. So when they all build on each other, they end up having a huge impact at the end. And all those little things are what counts. And I'm sure you've heard before, because we hear it all the time from people who are in the top of their fields and their industries. Things don't just happen overnight. It's the tiny steps again and again and again and again and again. That get them there. Emma, do you have any suggestions on time blocking, resources, etc.? Yes, I'm going to mention some of that stuff at the end, Emma. So just notice what's the strategy you're running, what's the new strategy, and maybe what I'd love you to do is what's the one thing that maybe you're noticing already that you can change about your strategy. So feel free just to pop that in the comments, because I think the slight edge, that's exactly what I was thinking about. That's why I was going like that. Thank you. So what's just one thing that you could change in your strategy to really start supercharging the results that you're getting? And pop it in there when you're ready. To get up earlier, to have one, to stop procrastination. Okay, so stop procrastination is an interesting one, right? If you're stopping procrastination, what are you doing instead? So focus on the thing that you are doing rather than the thing that you're not doing. So someone else has put not setting aside time or sticking, sorry, I've got a headache, can't read tonight. Not setting time aside or sticking to having that time. Okay, so if you're not doing that, what are you doing instead? Time blocking. Okay, awesome, cool. Fantastic. So you started to get an idea of what one thing could be that you could change right now that's going to have an impact on you achieving those goals. Okay. I'm going to move on to step 5. I would love to, I could be here for hours with you because I would love to go into all of this in so much more detail, but we can't be here all night. So choose to take this further after this call is finished, okay? So step 5 is we all have an identity, and our identity plays a massive role in how we show up, what we do, what we commit to, what we don't commit to, and it totally ties into what people are popping in just here. Okay, our identity shapes the action that we take and how we show up every single day. So, for example, actually, before I give you an example, this is where the action that we take is either easy and just part of our everyday life, or an effort and something that we can forget to do. So you hear people talk about habits and implementing healthy habits. You've probably read books and heard things about things like the miracle morning and creating those habits that set you up for the day. But here's the real thing about it. Those habits really are part of your identity, or they're not. So this is the example. When I was in my early 20s, I was very concerned, like lots of girls in their early 20s are, around how they look. I wanted to look my best. Like every single week I would go and get my nails done, and I'd spend a fortune on makeup, and I'd spend a fortune on clothes, and like when I look back I go, why? Okay, I'm back. I am back. Okay, sorry everyone, I might have missed it. Can you all hear me again now? Awesome. I'm back bigger. That's funny, isn't it? My picture's bigger. Okay, so what I was saying was early 20s, part of my identity was that I was really bothered about, looking the part, because I liked going out. I liked feeling attractive. I liked, let me pop that question bar up. I like to feel good. So what I did regularly is I would go get my nails done. I would go on sunbeds all the time, because it was before there was a whole thing about sunbeds. I would do all those things, but I didn't plan them. I didn't kind of go, oh, I need to remember to get my nails done. I need to remember to go on the sunbed. I need to remember to go shopping and buy myself a new dress that I don't need at all. I didn't need to do those things because it was part of my identity. It was part of who I was. Like my identity was that I was this young woman who wanted to be attractive and have fun and go out on nights out and get male attention and whatever else might have been going on for me at the time. I can't really remember. But you see my point, right? That was the identity that I had then. When something is part of our identity, we do it automatically. We don't have to ask ourselves how we do it. We don't have to remind ourselves to do it. And our identity grows as we do. And the great thing about identity is it's not set. Our identity changes, thank God, because I would not want to be going and getting my nails done every week and spending a fortune on clothes like I did when I was 21, 22. So thank goodness that our identity changes. I'd like to think that my life is now filled with far more fulfilling things. So what I want you to think about is that future version of you who has already achieved this goal. Okay, can you just tell me if you can hear me? So I've got some people saying they can hear me, I'm more stable, some people saying not. Yeah, okay, awesome, brilliant. Am I still recording for those people who wanted the recording? Yeah, fantastic. So think about that version of you in the future who has already achieved this goal. That version of you, the identity that you will have then, who will you be? What will you be doing automatically? What will you truly own about yourself? So it might be things like, well, you'll automatically just feel a bit more confident because you'll know that you're the person who makes £10,000 a month, for example. And in doing that, that gives you a sense of self-esteem because it makes you feel like you can look after your family, you can leave jobs, you can do whatever. Maybe there's something around like owning it as an entrepreneur. Maybe there's something around healthy habits that you'll have in place. Like, you'll be exercising every single day because that future version of you who's already achieved this just does that as part of their natural life. So what I'd like you to think about now and just start brainstorming is, what are some of the elements of your future identity when you've already achieved that goal? And I want you to pop those into the comments bar as well, so I can see the kind of things that you're coming up with, just to make sure that I'm making sense and that you're on track with this. What are the parts of your future identity when you've already achieved this goal that you've got in place, and they're a part of you? They're something that you just do. You don't even have to question it. You don't think about it. You don't have to plan it, because it's so instilled and it's such a huge part of who you will then be as a person. So self-belief, brilliant. You'll just have that belief in yourself. And by the way, that self-belief changes because you get self-belief, something that's worth saying around that self-belief, right? In a way, we never fully have that self-belief because there's always a next level. There's never an end, right? There's the next level, the next level, the next level. So we get self-belief around this. So say your goal is to make £5,000 a month. You start doing it. You start having that belief in yourself of, yeah, I can make I am the person who makes £5,000 every month consistently. So you have self-belief in yourself. But then, you know what? You're not happy just staying there. Then you want to be making £10,000 a month. So then you want to get to the next step. And so you're like, I don't know if I am though. But eventually you do get there. And once you've been there for a while, you then do start having that self-belief again until you decide to go further. And so self-belief is something that catches you up, but moves almost as you do. Free of a scarcity mindset. Okay, cool. So again, if you're free of a scarcity mindset, what do you have instead? What's the opposite of that for you? Something else. You're training others, you're giving seminars. So one of the things that I'm hearing in terms of that is you're being more visible, like you're in front of people more, you're connecting with people more. That future version of you is maybe having more conversations and standing up in front of people and sharing what you do. You're happy with who you are and confident to go on adventures on your own. Okay, awesome. I love that one, to go on adventures on your own. Empowered to do what you want to do and do things that make you happy and according to your own standards and ethics and morals. Perfect. That's brilliant. And I think that absolutely, as we do move forward and we do achieve those goals and we do step into like that next identity, that future identity of the almost 2.0 version of ourselves, when we step into that, we do have more certainty and we do have more self-belief and we do have more clarity and we do have more drive and we do have, I think, a stronger sense of, this is how I want to do it and I'm all good with me and how I want to do it. And that's huge, right? Having that feeling. Can you all just check your microphone? I can hear someone, so just check your microphones for me. And so we do have all that. And so what I want you to do with me just for a second is I'd like you all to just close your eyes for a second. I'm going to just scroll through you all to check your eyes are closed. Fantastic. Okay. So close your eyes, take a deep breath in, let it out. And I want you to imagine feeling like that future version of you who's already achieved that goal, that new identity. And I want you to notice that inner strength, that inner confidence, that inner drive, that inner clarity, the things that you say to yourself and how you feel about you and the journey that you're on. Because you are now the future version of you. You've already achieved some of those goals that were so important to you, which means that you're even more ready to now take the next step and go on the next big adventure. And I just want you to notice how good it feels to have got there. How exciting it is that you've moved forward and grown and that you get to do it even more and that you get to continue this journey. And I just want you to notice for you what those key elements are that you now have internally inside of yourself as a result of achieving this goal. And what are those actions that you do automatically every single day because you've achieved this goal? So is it that automatically you make time for meditation? Is it automatically that you go to the gym every day? Is it that you get outside and you walk every single day? Is it that you do something that fills you up every day? Is it that you take time out for you every day? Is it that you take more action in your business, or that you're more organized every single day? What are the things that you now do every day as this future version of you? And I'd like you just to notice what comes up, and then you can open your eyes and you can write those down on paper so that you can reflect back on them later. But just take that feeling with you. Awesome, perfect. Because to achieve our goals, we don't wait to be this person. And you might have heard me say this before. We don't wait to be this person to achieve our goals. The way that we achieve our goals is we start showing up as this person right now today. That's how we get there. That's how we achieve these goals. So look at those things that you've just written down and decide that you're going to start actually just being that right now, without questioning it, without worrying about it, without having anxiety about it, without thinking, but I'm not enough, or what will people say? Just notice it and push it to the side, because those things don't matter. What really matters is that this is your life and you get to live it, and you get to decide whether you achieve these goals and you start living that life that you really truly want to, or whether you allow yourself to be held back and keep waiting until. Actually, no, just take a deep breath, own it, step into that future identity of you and start being it today. And before you know it, you will already have achieved your goals and so much more. It will have happened already. Awesome. So tell me, as this future version of you, in one word, how are you showing up? How are you showing up? How are you feeling? What are you doing? What's the thing that resonates for you? And I'm going to read those out. I'm waiting here with bated breath to read a few of them out. Awesome, love it. More visible and happy, confident, fantastic, powerful. Wow, I like that. Really like that. What else? What else are we going on? Settled. I love that. That's brilliant. That's really nice. Outside the house or office, so you're out more rather than being in. Love it. What else? Is there anything else coming up? Love those things. It's awesome. Okay, so we've gone through the 5 steps that you can be taking right now to start mastering your mindset. There's other things coming up: healthy, strong, love it. The thing is, with mindset, is just like I said, a one-off is never going to do it. It's like going to the gym once and thinking you can be fit and healthy. It does not work. Mindset is something consistent. And tonight, in the hour that, well, just over an hour that we've been together, we've barely touched the surface, because there's so much stuff to dive in on and so many different ways to look at mindset. And the key to mindset, the key to building up and really mastering your mindset so you can be living the life that you want, is to be consistent about it. And so the thing that I want to share with all of you that I'm really excited about is that, because I believe that mindset needs to be consistent, because I believe it's something you need to practice every single day, because one-offs just don't work. Can you all hear me, or am I breaking up again? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, awesome, I'm back. I apologise about my signal. I don't know what's going on with it tonight. So because it needs that consistency, I've put together a 30-day boot camp that some of you might have heard me mention, okay? And because you're on live with me tonight, I've got an offer for you all, a special offer for you all. So I'm running, beginning 1st of October, a boot camp called Up Level, and it is all things mindset. The idea of this is to take you to the next level, so that for a whole month you are implementing the things that you need to be doing every single day. And for a whole month you're working on your mindset every single day. For a whole month you're moving past those blocks and those things that are stopping you every single day, so that you've got that support, you've got the reminder, you've got people holding your hand and pulling you along. So even in those days where you don't feel like it, or it's hard, or you think you're telling yourself that this is never going to work, there are a group of people there to hold you up, to pull you along, and to get you back on track quickly. Because I know that feeling when you get to December, when you get to Christmas, you either hit Christmas feeling amazing, going, wow, I've had an amazing year. I've achieved so much. I've worked so hard. I've literally like made these things happen that at the beginning of the year, I didn't even, maybe weren't even on your radar. Or you get to Christmas and you feel a little bit like, oh, bugger, like I wish I'd just done this, or I wish I'd just done that. And there's a little bit of regret, or a little bit of, oh, I could have just pushed a bit more. And we all want to hit Christmas feeling amazing, right? We want to hit Christmas going, wow, I have absolutely smashed this year. I feel fantastic because of it. And so the reason that I'm doing this boot camp in October is because October is such a key time to creating that momentum so that we can hit Christmas feeling really good about ourselves. And so that's why I've put together this boot camp, which is called Up Level. It's a 30-day boot camp. It's low cost, so everyone can get on it, because I really want people to be able to say like hell yes to this, because I really am passionate about this being the difference to help people, this actually unlocking some of that stuff that's holding you back, this changing your beliefs, this being the thing that can help you. And we're going to be talking about things like mindset, about clarity, about goals, about action, about time management and time blocking, about the systems and the strategies that you're running to work towards your goals, whatever they might be. We're going to be diving deep on all of those things. There's going to be lots of live trainings, there's going to be recorded trainings, there's going to be live Q&A sessions, there's a Facebook group where you're going to be able to have constant support. I'm going to be putting people together for accountability buddies. There's going to be tons and tons going on in this boot camp, and so I'd really love you to be there and to be present. And so this is what I need to tell you about it. The first thing is, if you want to go to that boot camp, it's the link to it is bit.ly, bit.ly /up level bootcamp. So if you want to go and take a look at that page that tells you a little bit about it, once we've finished this call, go and have a look. And for those of you who've been on this call tonight, there's two things. Number one, you get a 10% discount. So if you put in the code coach me, all one word, all lowercase letters, you'll get a 10% discount on that training. But the second thing, which is worth far more, is that you'll get a 30-minute laser coaching session with me. And that's worth £120 in itself. So if you've been thinking about having coaching, you get this one-to-one session as a bonus if you jump in either tonight or tomorrow morning. It's by lunchtime tomorrow that you need to have committed. And if you do that, you will get the extra half an hour laser coaching session along with the 10% discount. The reason that I'm doing this is not just because I'm trying to sell to people. It's because I feel so strongly that everyone deserves to feel like they're really moving forward. Everyone deserves to feel happy and fulfilled and joyful, and like they're actually starting to create that life that they want to live. And mindset, I believe, is the absolute core of it. And I think that as we've gone through all these different bits tonight, I'm sure there's different bits that have stood out to you, and some things that you know, and some bits that maybe you know but you're not implementing, and maybe some bits that you haven't really thought about or haven't really looked at before. But mindset is huge, and it is about creating consistency. So it's really good when you can jump on these live trainings, and I invite you to do that to all the live trainings I do in the future. And I love that you're here and you've taken time out to do this. But I would also push and go, take that next step. And the reason that I think it's important to take that next step is partly because of my own journey. When I told you earlier about the fact that I came back to the UK and I got really lost in terms of building my own business, one of the things that, if I look back, I'm not really one to wish that I'd made changes, but if I look back, one of the mistakes that I made that I would not make again is that I spent tons of time doing every free webinar, every free training that popped up on the internet. And you all know it, right? You're on Facebook, you're scrolling through Facebook, and again and again and again, you'll see free webinar, free live training, free ebook, free this, free that, free that. There's a ton of free things, right? And they're all great. Like, let's not lie. Some of those are brilliant and there's a lot of value in them. And I watched all these things and they were all telling me different things. And this is where I got into even more confusion, because this expert was saying, this is what I need to do. And this expert was telling me, this is what I need to do. And this expert was telling me something different. And I was just getting more and more and more overwhelmed. And I think it wasn't until I just stopped and actually chose to invest in something, actually chose to pay money to be in something, which at the time was really tricky, because at the time my husband wasn't working and I wasn't hardly making any money. And so it wasn't an easy investment to make. But it was only when I made that investment that I got super focused. And what I found in my own life time and time again is when I invest in something, quite often I'll start getting results even before that training starts, because in my own head I suddenly become focused. It suddenly becomes a must. It suddenly becomes something where I don't feel like I'm just by myself. I feel like I've got someone who's got my back and who is helping me every single step of the way. And I think that that shouldn't be underestimated in its power. And so if you know that you really want to take the next step, if you're serious about really creating these goals and making it happen for you, and you know that maybe you need that extra bit of help, that extra push, or just someone who's got your back, somewhere you can go and say, well, I'm struggling with this, or this is going on, or I'm confused, or whatever it might be, or just to create that consistency for you, then I would love you to jump in and say yes to this, because I would love to work with you and I'd really love to help you move forwards and shift. So as I say, you just go to bit.ly// Up Level Bootcamp, but I'll also be putting the link to that in the Facebook group and on my Facebook page if you want to go and take a look. The code for 10% is Coach Me, and if you hop on in there before lunchtime tomorrow, then you will also get that 30-minute coaching session with me. Right, before I go, what I would love to do is just open up for any last questions. So has anyone got any questions, anything that they want to ask? Emma, thank you, Emma. You said, Clay, you've helped me move forward so much already. That's fantastic. I love working with you. You're awesome. Thank you. So what I'd love is if anyone's got any questions, like jump on and feel free to ask me questions now. You can either pop them in the comments box, or if you want to put your hands up and ask questions either about anything we've gone over tonight, any other questions you've got, or any questions about the Up Level Bootcamp, feel free to either stick your hand up and I'll see that and we can unmute you, we can talk, or you can pop a question in the chat bar. Faye, to everyone, loving it too, Claire, can't wait to start the boot camp. Faye, it's awesome that you're in there. I'm super excited about that. So has anyone got any last questions before you hop off, or you're all ready to go and have a glass of wine? Julie, you feel exhausted. What a journey tonight. Me too. I'm going to go and enjoy a glass of wine after this myself. I haven't had my dinner yet because it's been a busy night. So thank you so much. Thank you, Jamie, for joining us. Rebecca, you're amazing. Everyone should work with you. Oh, thank you, Rebecca. That's awesome. And it's amazing working with you too. Thank you so much. Julie, thank you. Thank you for being here. So, okay, if no one's got any last questions, I just want to say a big, big thank you for joining me. I know that your time is super precious. So thank you for being here. I'm going to be popping up the training. I'm going to send that through to you all. Hopefully it's all recorded. I hope so, because there were some people who will be very upset if it hasn't recorded. But feel free to share this recording with anyone. So if you've got people in your team, if you've got people who work for you, if you've just got people you know who would benefit, then please feel free to pass on the training link once I've uploaded it into YouTube. And if you want to, that's another thing that's worth saying, feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that when I do these trainings, if you have missed it, it'll pop up on the YouTube channel and you'll be able to watch it there. Okay, go and have a good evening. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Go and implement this that we've talked about tonight. Go and do something about it. And I hope to see lots of you in Up Level. It would be amazing. And I promise you it'd be well worth your time and money. Okay, take care. Bye. Bye, everyone.